find the least amount of times we let him on, then we're better prepped.
You interrupted something that has nothing to do with topic.
Yeah, well, I mean,
shouting.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the new Netflix special? It came out 3 months ago.
No, it's not that Bender shouts; it's the most high-pitched shout. You know?
Well, mispronouncing everything.
Yeah, chronic mispronunciation. My favorite thing I ever did when I do sometimes, every once in a while when I get wild hair and I do a parody picture or something.
Yeah.
And I did the chronic, and I put the chronic mispronunciation. And it's a picture of Bender that looks like it would be a high cover.
Yeah.
And Rachel got mad.
Oh, no.
Like, what's this supposed to mean? You're smoking weed? Is that? And Bender's like, yeah. Rachel was like, why is he saying you're smoking weed? I go, did you not read the whole thing? I said, it says the chronic mispronunciation underneath. And he goes, oh. He goes, I just looked high in the picture. I go, well, that's on you.
Yeah. Wait, is he in Branson right now?
Yeah, he's on his way today or got there today, and I guess we should just start right there. We are back, and as I was saying, there is no Bender here. There is no flop, but we're going to come back to that and throw it to Missy. But I don't want to bury the lead too much here. It is me. It is Bombcast J, and it is Mr. Silver Badger, a.k.a. Too Soon Tom, a.k.a. King of Hot Takes, a.k.a. self-proclaimed number 2 host, a.k.a. Humbletown, a.k.a. Tom.
I think I'm officially demoted to 5th on the rotation.
No, well, we'll get more on that later. And so, Tom, you've been gone for shockingly a long time, all through COVID. We did do some when we were still Zooming episodes. I want to ask this before we start. Was your plan to return around the same time Delta variant started coming back?
No, my return was planned around John Cena's return. And
so a surprise.
Yes,
So it was a complete
It's
surprise.
a complete surprise to the audience. I mean, who saw it coming in the dirt sheets from 1,000 miles away? But just like John Cena on Sunday night, the crowd is popping right now, baby.
They would have popped for any wrestler out of nowhere, but they extra popped for John Cena. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on wrestling.
Well, so wait, are you saying I'm just some co-host out of nowhere? Jesus.
Yeah, but
fucking Brooklyn Brawler over here?
I did want to touch on that for a second because that was a way better kept secret than, say, Goldberg or anything like that. And all of them kind of, even though they're bigger news, I think Keith Lee coming back was a pretty big surprise.
I mean, how much in the weeds you want to get when you're bringing up Keith Lee?
I know. I mean, it was a good Raw. I mean, it was a pretty good Raw. For one of the first ones I've enjoyed in a long time.
He could have gone the other way and said, what is it now, Malister Black?
Oh, Malachi Black. Malachi Black, yeah. He should have just went with his regular name.
He may not be able to.
Yeah, might be trademark.
I mean, for God's sakes, Cody Rhodes just got to be called Cody Rhodes again.
Well, and his real name is Tommy, or his original wrestling name, Tommy End or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, even deeper for those that's not in the know. What's the name of the new women's champ? Nikki
Cross, right?
No, Nikki She just beat Charlotte Monday night on Cashing It In.
I gotta admit, once Cena had that awkward comedy spot with Riddle, I'm like, time for Cardinal baseball.
Oh, yeah. It was, I was at the Cardinal game last night, by the way, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a great game. Seeing Javi Baez just throw the ball all the way around the diamond and all that. You know what? This is what we do. We get off topic. It's almost like Bender is here. Let's put the spotlight back on Tom. Hey, Tom.
I don't like the spotlight on me.
Well, I know you're the perfect number 2, right? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well,
is that a loaded question?
I mean, how deep into the woods do we want to get? I've been watching a lot of wrestling, mainly between my 2 boys fighting off. You know, they got the little makeshift AEW title they like to pretend to fight for. Just got back from Florida.
Does the title flip-flop a lot, or does the older one keep it?
The older one keeps it. A lot of interference.
Does he go by the teddy bear?
He should. He should. Just the cute one.
Yeah, the cute. That's his AKA the cute one.
Yeah.
Instead of what was the Dark Order? Instead of Brody Lee's character, what was he?
The Exalted one.
He'd be the cute one.
Yes. Yeah. He is bossing everybody around just like the late great Brody Lee. Just got back from Florida, Perdido Key.
How was that?
It was fine. You know,
never an amazing time when you go, it was fine.
Well, a wise man once told me, when you go on a vacation with little kids, you're not going on a vacation. You're going on a trip.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So there was no relaxation. I did see 2 two-time Master winner Bubba Watson.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And I was wondering why he was in Florida and not at the British Open. Apparently, he had COVID tracing, so he couldn't make it. But
So he hung out in Florida, which is one place COVID doesn't exist.
no, it doesn't. Neither do masks,
Yeah, that's right.
unless you're robbing a store.
Yeah. Well, that's good. At least you know you can point out who the robbers are now in Florida.
That's true. That's true.
So you did that. I know you've been working your ass off.
Working my ass off. Lots of traveling.
When you left Puppy Chow Industries, it was to make a better life for yourself. You didn't know you had to work twice as hard at it.
Yeah, that sucks. Traveling to Nashville quite a bit. Going to Reno here in 3 weeks for work. So looking forward to
That's
that.
the biggest little city in the country.
I've heard that.
You know where I learned that from? Can you guys guess where I learned that Reno was the biggest little city?
It's a movie.
It is a movie.
It's an 80s movie.
It is an 80s movie. I'll give you one hint.
Okay.
Fred Savage.
I believe this movie's gonna be called The Wizard.
That's it. They went through Reno to earn a little extra money to get to, and then the guy caught him, tried to catch him in the casino, and that's when his dad shows up and they reunite.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very popular Christian Slater vehicle.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, hey, Video Armageddon, that was the greatest movie when you were a kid.
Yeah. How old were you when you realized that was just one big fucking commercial?
Oh. When the Power Glove was the main thing in it, and the Power Glove did not work worth
I
a
didn't
shit.
at the time.
I got the Power Glove. It's so rad.
Yeah. And the kid pulls out all the video games. He goes, "I've beaten them all."
Yeah.
We watched that fairly recently to show the kids. It doesn't hold up.
Oh, I probably watched it 4 times through COVID because it was on like Max or HBO or something.
Yeah. Just looking at the video games there, and they're like, "Why? How was that fun?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Like that's all we had.
Yeah, there was. Although I will say this, Super Mario Brothers 3 was pretty bomb ass. That was a good one. You got the raccoon, the feather to make you fly, and all that shit.
Which was one of the biggest stretches in movie history. How that kid figured out how to do the warp whistle to.
Well, they all knew it. They were like, "Wait a minute, he just found the warp." Like, who knew? You didn't know. It was a brand new game. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a great I watched recently. Before we jump into the actual episode, I really only brought one topic, by the way. I figured we'd have a couple.
Is it about Britney? Not interested.
No, sorry. I forgot about your love for all things poppy, 90s pop, late 2000s pop. I watched a documentary, and it was about... it was one of these video game documentaries that have been on, like, the games that made us or something like that.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, probably. But it was about the... championship, when they started the video game championship, when you started being able to make money in video games, and it was about the going to the Tetris championships and all that stuff. And I got to tell you, it looked a lot like The Wizard. Like that was like, even though it doesn't hold up, it was not a stretch for the way those tournaments looked back then.
Did they get a Robert Downey Sr. lookalike to be like level 3?
They did. They had all that cheesy stuff, and it was like, and when the winners would get up for the championship, they have them in the podium above everybody, and crowds were going nuts for them. I mean, it was really weird. Like that existed. Like I just thought that was the movie, but nope. Turns out, for at least 2 years, that was reality. There was a finite. Now, I guess we're even bigger and better with esports now.
Yeah.
Mizzou just had an anonymous donor put in $250,000 for the esports team at Mizzou.
That's amazing.
Insane. Wow. Yeah.
We're building one of the best esports arenas in all of the country.
Who is?
The MLS stadium they're actually designing it to have esports championships in the arena.
Wow.
In the stadium also.
That's honestly great. I mean,
it's more through the winter and downtime and some other things. That's more revenue for the city.
Yeah.
And gives us something else.
Absolutely.
It's hot, man. I can't wait for that. By the way,
will that hold up to like the Olympic trials and the golf tournaments that come through though?
You know what? I bet proportionately scaled it will, like because the venues aren't going to be as big. But I bet the son bitch sells out when they have it.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet my daughter wants to go.
I mean, the Cardinals got to be clinching their butt cheeks at this stadium, right?
Dude, it was 39,000 people in that ballpark last night, and
weekday games are $6 right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I just we're going to go see the next game we go see is the Braves Cardinals because I have a soon-to-be 16-year-old that has a massive crush on Dansby Swanson.
Yeah.
Oh.
Have you looked up Dansby Swanson?
He's a handsome man.
That's a dreamboat.
Yes.
That is a dreamboat. I would make him breakfast. I mean, that is a good-looking guy.
I can dream about you.
And then her ultimate boyfriend, we have...
wow, she's got a lot of boyfriends.
The Friday night game before our next softball tournament is Padres. We're going to go see the Padres game.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to get to that too.
And Tatis Jr. is her. That's the top of the food chain for her right now in athletes.
Is he the most popular baseball player right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. Shohei Ohtani's up there.
Well, so
For what he's doing.
Worldwide, yes.
Worldwide Ohtani in the United States, and I know that, was it Stephen A. Smith, I think,
Yes.
that said it?
Yes.
And he's not,
A Triple H type burial job.
Stephen A. Smith likes to say a lot of inflammatory things, and it backfired for him on MMA, but he's still the highest paid sports guy in the country, and he said, when you have a player that can't speak English as the face of baseball, you have a problem, essentially, paraphrasing.
But he can speak English, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I get his point, and the thing is, you are right. Shohei Ohtani is the most popular player worldwide, mainly because the country he's popular in has a massive population.
Yeah.
But Tatis Jr., yes, is the most popular. All of this popularity contest thing comes from the simple fact that Mike Trout chooses not to be charismatic. He doesn't like the spotlight. He stays quiet. And the guy's quietly putting together a top 10 all-time career.
Yeah.
But he's not that's one reason he doesn't leave Anaheim or Los Angeles, Anaheim. But he's not a flashy guy.
No.
Were he a flashy guy, and let's call it what it is, good-looking white guy, unbelievable skill, he'd be the face of everything.
Well, that's probably somewhat true. He's also playing for the second most popular team in this area.
Yeah,
and the Angels have sucked for a decade?
And
He's never won a playoff series, right? Has he ever won a playoff game?
No.
I don't think he's been to one.
It's the second most popular
feel
team in the area by a long way. Like, it's not just there's only two teams, and it's by a long way.
I feel like the Angels have snuck in twice, but I don't think they've ever won a game. There we go.
Go to the Googles. I know their World Series, he was not on the team yet. That was against the Giants.
That was
that was
2003.
That's right.
Scott
that
Spezio.
seems a long time ago. That was my
David Eckstein.
That was my favorite moments when Troy Percival said that if Barry Bonds comes up in a situation when I'm in the game and he can't hurt me, I'm just going to rear back and throw as hard as I can. And he did. And Barry Bonds hit that ball. I don't think it's landed yet. The camera does not follow the ball.
I heard a crazy Barry Bonds stat the other day, that year where he broke the walks record. He accounted for 8% of walks in Major League Baseball that year.
That was insane. That was insane. I saw a great meme today that was, I can't remember what year it was. They're not a meme, but a stat, picture thing. I guess anything that's got picture and verbiage on Facebook is a meme. But it says that, imagine this, or try to wrap your head around this. Bo Jackson in the same year hit 32 home runs with 105 RBIs and averaged 5.5 yards a carry.
That's unreal.
They said, even if you knew that, think about that.
Trout has played 3 games back in 2014.
Oh.
Okay, so one playoff series.
And did not advance in 3 games. Nope.
No.
That's too bad, too. And they even put a Hall of Fame player around him who, by the way, seems like he just needed to change his area code by about 20 miles, and he's good to go.
Yeah,
And not face lefties.
And not face lefties. That'll help, yeah.
Cardinals couldn't have used him, right? They got Matt Carpenter.
Oh, man. I saw Matt Carpenter strike out twice in 1 inning last night. It was so awesome.
The start and end it.
Yeah.
Well, so you were at the game. Were you watching the game last night?
No, I wasn't.
Eduardo Perez basically called it. Like 2 batters, like, oh, I feel bad for Matt Carpenter. I've had the pressure on me before, like in a rally, striking out twice in 1 inning, and they were talking about, has anyone ever struck out 3 times in 1 inning? And Carpenter came up, and I felt bad for him.
Yeah, he's that Kaylin. My daughter was at the game too with her biological father, and we were texting throughout the game. And here's a girl that is
Now, were you playing the Paul Reiser character in My Two Dads?
Yeah, well, yeah. So he, that's a good one. That's a deep cut. That's a USA Network sitcom. He explained Kaylin what the Mendoza line was, the 200, which I think the Mendoza line, by the way, baseball slipped to like 175, considering we're in all-time low batting average.
Yeah.
But She has actually bought a Matt Carpenter jersey before, like a shirt. She used to love Matt Carpenter. And every time he came up, she'd send me, this guy's doo-doo. Like, he's the worst. Like, hard to believe how bad he is. Is he like the worst everyday player in the National League right now?
Well, he's not an everyday player.
Well, no, but he's got more bats than some everyday players.
Because of what he pinch hits every game, probably.
Yeah, pinch hits every game. They find he's also in every American
3 days
League
a week or something.
every American League game. I mean, it takes 150 bats to qualify.
Yeah.
So he's going to do that easy.
Well, I think I feel bad for him because what happened was the Blues had their run in 2019, and like nobody paid attention to the Cardinals until late June, and then everybody at one time's like, "Wait, we signed Carpenter for 2 more years, and how much?" Like because
Right.
that was right at the beginning of the season where he was already hitting like 230 and clearly not an everyday guy, and then Mozeliak, because let's face it, he's still the guy, gives him a 2-year, $38 million contract.
Yeah.
An untradeable contract is
Yep.
what they gave him. And we're going to get back to some Cardinals talking a little bit. And I got one caveat on this episode for you.
What?
Until the last thing of Throw It to Missy, I don't really want to talk about the Blues because I want to keep it for that moment.
We can't talk about Kenny Omega. Can we talk about him? I'd rather talk about him.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, let's jump right into the episode. I've got one thing and one thing only I brought to the table because, and I don't know where you're at on this, but Loki finished last week.
Yep.
And are you caught up?
I am not starting Loki.
Okay.
I told myself I would, because I hate myself, clearly, I would finish the Bad Batch first, and god damn has that been a struggle.
I am 3 weeks behind on the Bad Batch.
It's okay.
It started great.
Yeah,
And then
and it
around
just
the
kinda-
fourth episode, I was like, okay, too much of the kid.
Yeah, and they're marketing it towards kids,
Yeah,
obviously.
well,
but,
that's right. I should have known that.
yeah, but that's not what made Clone Wars great. They had stuff in there for adults, and I don't feel like they're doing that right now with Bad
It
Batch.
seemed that way to start because they were more badass. They were
Yeah.
kicking ass.
Yeah.
And then they killed the Jedis, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And it kind of fizzled. So,
And they're throwing little Easter eggs in for the fans like me, but
what?
I'm just not.
I have
I'm
a
not feeling
hard time with any show now. We're so spoiled with the golden age of TV. Any, for lack of a better phrase, Monster of the Week show
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
there's really
Unless
very
it's the Mandalorian.
which even then I feel like they develop it a little bit. But I see what you're saying.
I think season 2 was more Monster of the Week than season 1 was.
Yes, I would agree with
but
that.
it's still a pretty damn good show.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I've not started Loki. Feel free to talk about it though.
Well, do you know anything that's happened in it? Like, have you seen the interwebs with their spoilers?
I am completely unknown with Loki. I have watched the other 2 shows, but I have not
All
started
right,
Loki
well,
yet.
we're going to. You're not even going to really know who the bad guy is, so that doesn't make a bit of difference to you because
Go
you're
for
not
it.
a Marvel guy. But let's get into it a little bit, Jay. So Loki's come and gone. I want to know, first off, what your overall thoughts are, and then we'll give it a review.
Of the 3 shows, it's been my favorite.
I kind of feel the same way. I loved WandaVision.
Yeah.
More, not as much as the critics, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved Falcon and Winter Soldier more than the critics.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I did, and I love this one. I don't know. I know there's been some nitpicking here and there. Again, I think they're just now, by the time we're on I think the new car smells wore off, and they're now being overly critical because we're getting so much.
Yeah.
And clearly, the one comment I want to make, clearly the entire run of, with the exception of Falcon and Winter Soldier to an extent, the entire run of this, at least the bigger picture premise from these the Disney Plus series is to set up Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And the multiverse. And
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, which is going to come from,
Yeah.
tie into, those are going to be 2 pretty closely tethered movies.
And I believe they haven't released the Spider-Man teaser yet because they had to set up Loki first.
I think you're probably accurate there. I saw a very funny meme today, and it was a little Spider-Man. It was from some picture where it was 3 people hiding behind a door, and it was Spider-Man, it was Wanda, and it was Loki, and they all had knives. And it's Doctor Strange coming in and scratching his head like he's got a hangover, like knives. And it said the multiverse, and it said Doctor Strange because he's the one that's going to have to try to fix everything, or at least that seems to be where we're going. Again, slight spoiler warning for the person here and the people listening at home. And it's not really because they showed you in the trailer that Kang, I'm very happy that he is the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, was it Kang or was it really more Immortus?
Here's the thing. I think he hinted that Immortus is going to be the bigger bad guy.
Yeah.
And either way, I think what we saw is old. Mortis makes sense because he's old. That's an older one. But I think it's one that doesn't have his shit together. We're going to get an earlier version of a Mortis, and then we're going to get a Kang. And I got to tell you, if they're setting him up to be the big bad guy in the next phase, I'm absolutely okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
So is Loki a heel or a face in this thing?
He's a heel that has to play face for first his own good, and then for the betterment of... Actually, only for his own good. He falls in love, so to speak. It's kind of gross.
Kind of like the progression in the movies. You kind of see the flip going on.
Well,
nothing better than a good old face turn.
He's a dreamboat that apparently somehow became the big hottie guy of all the movies. All the teenage girls flock to him. He's stupid charismatic.
Yes.
I mean, and he's, and honestly, Loki's a much more deep and enjoyable character than Thor. There's nothing wrong with Thor, but Loki's a more entertaining character than Thor. The same way Roddy Piper might have been a more entertaining character than Hogan. Or at least Flair.
I need to sit on that for a minute.
Yeah. All right, stew on that. But so we don't go too detailed. We'll wait till Bender gets back. What is your rating for the whole overall?
5 out of 5.
I put 4 out of 4, which doesn't make any sense. I think I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5. But it would.
Oh, we got rid of the 6-pack rating since I've been gone.
It's been going well before. It's the Universal Untapped system.
Okay.
You've been a part of that. It's weird that I don't blame you so much that you forgot that because you've been going on because we've been doing that since we almost changed the name. But Bender forgets every week. He goes, so we're not going by 6 anymore? And I almost want to bring up every time. Let me roll tape every time if you forgot this. I mean, we won't stew on it too long. It's a pretty fucking good show.
Yeah.
And I think with the exception of a couple of like aerial fight scenes in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think it was the best looking show too.
Oh, yeah.
I think they ramped up the budget a little bit.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could see where they were pulling from other sci-fi and
we talked about
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and they
All
even
throughout.
ended. I mean, there was a Hitchhiker's Guide episode. There was a Doctor Who episode. The last one essentially ended as a Planet of the Apes shot, and they've openly talked about it. That's what we were wanted to go for. We wanted that Statue of Liberty scene, and so it's pretty awesome. I mean, they did sci-fi right with that show. Yeah. So, and I'm excited to see where they're going. What's next for Marvel?
What If?
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that.
Pretty sure it's going to tie directly to this because this is going to be looking at the multiverse.
Things in the multiverse. That's pretty cool. So let's don't spend too much more time on that. But
I do have a question for you.
I'll answer it. Maybe
they announced Jonathan Majors playing Kang like a year ago.
But we didn't. I don't remember that one.
And I wonder maybe it was around December when they.
And I wonder if we just didn't buy it.
Yeah. Well, no. Disney confirmed it at their December thing where they announced all the Star Wars shows and everything that was coming out with Marvel.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have announced it there, how much more surprising would that turn been? Because everyone was sitting there knowing he was going to show up as Kang at some point, and the way the story was going, that was the obvious.
So here's my thing with them announcing Kang. I think it was smart because it gave a lot of unsmart marks, like Tom, who likes the Marvel movies but doesn't know. Kang is a deeper cut than Thanos and then Galactus.
Yeah.
So it gave people time to figure out who the fuck this Kang guy is going to be by the time he got there. And I'll say this. The internet instantly fell in love with this Jonathan Majors guy, and I didn't know who he was. I'd forgotten. I did not realize what all he's been in until I went and looked him up because the internet.
What's he been in? The name's
He's been in
there.
Five Bloods, that Spike Lee Netflix movie.
Okay.
And he was in Lovecraft Country on HBO.
Which he cut his
teeth. Was he play in the Five Bloods?
Five Bloods.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I first saw him or when I first watched it, I was like, okay. And then the internet fell in love with him, so I had to rewatch it. Because I watched it in Traverse City, which is one of my throw it to Missy things, and I was like, he's not so bad. And then I sat and stewed on it for a week. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Like it was really good. I just didn't instantly hit me because the internet embraced it so quick. It made me almost scoff at the idea. I almost was one of those. I was almost a hipster. I started hating it because people loved it so much, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And I think, like you're right. I think, or like you said, I'd forgotten about that, but I think that they needed that with him.
Because if I would have saw him, I'm like, he's going to be somebody big. But they never once said it was Kang. It was Immortus. It was,
and they didn't put him in a suit,
right?
So, but boy, he was very charismatic on the screen, and he doesn't have any superpowers.
Yeah.
He's just in the 31st century. near the end of time, and he's so smart and he knows everything that's happened. So if you try to hit him, he blinks because he's got a little transporter and stuff because he knew you were going to do it and when you were going to do it. And that's what makes him so badass.
So then, branching off the question,
Okay.
we know Mahershala
I
Ali
didn't
is
agree
playing
to this part.
Mahershala Ali's playing Blade.
Yep.
Or we're going to see him in Moon Knight.
It's a good spot to put him.
Yeah.
It's a really good spot to put him because that would be someone that Moon Knight would come across.
And there's rumors that Ethan Hawke is playing a vampire, so...
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm excited about Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I'm excited. He's crazy Batman. Moon Knight is.
Okay.
He's Marvel's version, not really version of Batman, but he's a regular person, although he draws his powers-esque from the god of the moon, god of night, Khonshu? Yeah, Khonshu. But he has multiple personality disorder, so you get like different versions of the vigilante.
Huh.
And it's pretty cool. I don't agree with him beating the Avengers the way he did, but still.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that. What did you bring anything to talk about in the main segment?
I saw Black Widow. We went to the theater before we left town.
I've yet to see it because I was gone. And then I got back. My daughter was gone, my oldest, because she wants to watch it because she, quote unquote, Flo is her queen.
Yeah.
Not the visitor, but Florence Pugh.
Okay.
Or as I like to call her, Mrs. Zach Braff. She is like, she loves her, so we're going to watch that together. Probably watch it here.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts? Without spoiling it for us.
It was good, but I was disappointed.
Okay.
Where would you rank it in the Marvel Universe movies, 1
That's a
through whatever,
tough-
28?
There's getting to be so many now.
It's probably in the middle, and there's two reasons for that. They've set the bar so high with solo movies the last, 5 or 6. Since Black Panther.
Yeah.
Their solo movies have been unreal, and this one didn't live up to that.
Let's play a little name game.
Oh, boy.
All right. Black Widow or Ant-Man?
Ooh,
Wow.
that's tough.
You even have to think about that one? Ant-Man was so good.
It was. I'd probably go Ant-Man over it.
Black Widow or Doctor Strange?
Probably Doctor Strange.
Ooh, let me do one.
Okay.
Black Widow or Ant-Man and Wasp?
Probably go Black Widow.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I think we got kind of a range of where it's at.
Right there. So it's like a 3.5.
Yeah. And the other issue was these TV shows have been so good, and they've been able to let them
The
play
exposition's
out.
so longer.
Yeah. They can play it out so well. This just kind of felt rushed at times. Mm-hmm. So I was disappointed, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, though. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because ScarJo ain't a leading actress.
Hot take. Told you, King of Hot Takes is back.
Is that really that hot of a take?
I think it might be accurate, but I think she's been a leading actress, and that's done well in some movies.
All right, I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
She's great in Marriage Story.
Yeah.
But if Adam Driver is in that role, let's just say it's, I don't know, Keanu. Is that movie as good? Getting Oscar nominations? I don't think so.
Wait a minute. You can't put Keanu out there and think it devalues anything at the point he's at in his career.
He can't do a movie like Marriage
What are
Story.
you talking about? He's Keanu. He does whatever he wants.
No, he can't. He's a great action star and occasional comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. He ain't doing. Have you seen Marriage Story?
I have not. I did
Have
not
you seen
watch
Marriage
it.
Story, Jay?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Adam Driver.
Adam Driver's a terrific actor.
Yes.
Terrific
Just watch
actor.
the scene where him and ScarJo are just yelling at each other for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then go hug your wife.
There's all kinds of. I recently, during COVID, watched a movie where I don't even know, I can't remember who the main character was, but it was a guy who was a director, and him and his wife were having marriage problems, and they befriend Adam Driver and his wife, who's an aspiring documentarian, and the whole thing ends up Adam Driver. He's so charismatic and good, quirky, that the guy kind of, for lack of a better word, falls in love with him as a young director and sees a little bit of himself and helps him get started, and he essentially ends up stealing his movie and all this at the end of it. And it was just kind of not really a comedy, more like a dramedy.
Sure.
And it's not the greatest movie, but goddamn, Adam Driver's in it, and he's awesome.
He is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in there. Yeah. So what was that? Oh, Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much since I haven't watched it. But Tom, did you bring anything?
Well, speaking of Adams, let me tell you about a man named Adam Page. Holy shit, is this the best wrestling story in the last 20 years? My God, is it captivating for those of you who have not been watching, and you should. I know wrestling turns off and alienates some of our viewers, listeners,
Yeah, but
whatever.
there's an equal amount that get excited about it.
I think that Jay, you are a wrestling fan, correct?
Yeah, I only watch AEW right now.
Okay, you're a smart man. is this
Aforementioned Smart Mark that we talked about.
is this storyline of Adam Page's quest for the gold the best wrestling story since Stone Cold broke through?
I don't know that it is the best since Stone Cold, but what I will tell you, it's the best since the early 2000s, and here's why.
Okay.
It's been given a year to evolve.
2 years.
And that's 2 years now. And that's what wrestling doesn't, WWE in particular, doesn't do anymore. And they've really played an old school booking way of putting Adam Page in this role, in a sense that he's even already lost to Omega since AEW has happened. So they've set the bar. I mean, well, actually, all they've done is follow the footprints of the great wrestling stories before them, including a Stone Cold who lost to Bret Hart, who got white hot and built over time and ended up beating him. I mean, it's the Adam Page thing with Kenny Omega. First off, it's got two ingredients. Adam Page is a charismatic cowboy who's really athletic and a really good hand, and the guy on the other side might be the greatest hand walking the planet right now in Kenny Omega. And they're both super over, but they're both just and they're just paying tribute to what wrestling is wrestling. It's what it's supposed to be.
It's all about the long story telling, and the thing AEW has, and I dabble still in WWE. We got SummerSlam coming up. Every main player in the WWE is a relapse fan from 10 years ago and know all the names.
Yeah, the only thing WWE, the real main thing that WWE has going for it, well, it has a little bit of momentum around Big E, but who's confident that they're going to let that pay off?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll work out just like it worked out for when Kofi got his push and then just buried.
It's gotten squashed twice now to the big guys. No, the Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, that is really good wrestling.
I agree.
But they've also let that story build over the last year. Since COVID hit, since the Thunderdome. Yeah, I mean, well, and maybe one of the main ingredients there is Paul Heyman.
I don't even think Roman needs Paul Heyman.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he does now that he's got this a really legitimate stable. But I think the reason he had Heyman at first is because even though everybody, especially WWE, the fans may not have been at first, but WWE's always been high on his ability, but they weren't as high on his mic skills. Now that he's a heel, his mic skills they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's where he needs to be. But to your point with Adam Page, you can almost look in AEW the complete opposite of what they've done with Page and Omega. And that's with Cody Rhodes. Every one of his stories have fallen flat. And it's because they keep cramming story after story after story.
Well, I kind of wonder how interested Cody is in the everyday grind of wrestling right now.
Since he's running things, essentially.
He's running things. He has made overtures about how he wants to run for politics legitimately.
Yeah, well, that neck tattoo really helped his cause there. Awful neck tattoo also.
And Cody could still go, and I kind of like the fact, in a way, where when AEW first started...
Cody made Shaq look like a wrestler.
He did.
Yeah.
Cody is kind of taking a back seat and is kind of... he's doing his own thing, but he is staying away from the spotlight of what the show is about, which is the Elite right now versus the Dark Order, and to a lesser extent, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle, which I'm tired of, but...
I'm very tired of it.
Yeah, by the way, I was at work last week, and we'll get to that and throw it to Missy, but I was with a guy who actually grew up with Braun Strowman.
Okay.
I think his name's Adam. Braun Strowman's name's Adam or something like that. Whatever his real name is, that's what he was calling him. And he doesn't talk. He says he's still, because their parents grew up really close. And he doesn't talk to him as much as he used to, but he still considers him a friend. And he did. The last time he did reach out to him, he said, "Hey, what do you?" Because when he got released, so he texted. He said, "Hey, just want to check in. Everything's going all right." And he said that, yeah. And he goes, "I've actually been off a little longer than they've announced." He goes, "Man, I'm just going to cruise for a while and love life for a little bit." That's probably good for him. because whatever move he makes, and we texted a little bit back and forth as well as you and I don't know that he's bookable in AEW.
I would, if I'm Tony Khan, stay far, far away from that.
And he wants a lot of money,
Yes,
for one.
I've heard he's asking $10,000 for indie appearances.
Yeah, so I would put him over in Japan. If I were him, I'd go. They will back up the cement truck the dump truck of money for a big guy in Japan.
A big one, yeah. I mean, look at Archer.
Yeah.
In AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, his career fizzled out in WWE. He went over there, became a solid upper mid carder over there.
And it's kind of fizzled in AEW also. But still, it's ugly tattoos and dumb hair, but still. And I don't think he needs Jake the Snake.
No,
Jake the Snake, icon, that one of the 2 or 3 greatest non-title holding wrestlers of all time, up there with DiBiase. And certainly the other Piper, that's the 3. But I don't know that I like seeing Jake on TV all the time now. He just looks rough. Can't
you
move
could
well.
argue that Archer has been the worst booked character in AEW last year.
Yeah, Archer and then early Miro.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Now Miro, though, looks like he could be a title holder at some point.
Who do you have take the belt off of Miro?
I think Miro holds it for a while, and I think when Miro gets the belt taken off of him, that's when his rocket launch or rocket push to the championship hunt will be. So it'll be in some way where some underdog like a Jungle Boy,
Yeah.
will get it. Could even be like in a 3-way or something like that. But and I tell you that Jungle Boy. For those that don't know, it's Jungle Boy Jack
Perry.
Perry, which is Luke Perry's son.
He looks exactly like him.
Looks exactly like him, only a little shorter. Well, Luke Perry wasn't super tall. And if you want a little more of him before his AEW fame, watch You Can't Kill David Arquette. He's in that.
Great
Great
movie.
documentary.
I cannot for the life of me figure out why he's so god awful on promos, though.
Yeah, because he doesn't have his dad's charisma.
No.
He's also super young. Now,
Yeah, he's only 20. And again,
not everybody has got the charisma and wisdom of an MJF at his age.
And I think
AEW
that's
had-
why they put Christian Cage with him.
yeah,
To help with that.
Yeah, yeah, you could definitely be right. AEW, look, they have 4 legitimate big drawing guys that are under 30. Hangman, MJF, Jungle Boy, and Sammy. Those 4 guys are legit stars, maybe
And
even
correct
now.
me if I'm wrong, but Orange Cassidy might just be 30 or
No, Orange Cat's like 34, 35.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was going to say he's old, but he is another guy that's young in the spotlight, and he's pretty over. I mean,
He's over, but I think there's a ceiling with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I think his push is done. Putting him back with real friends.
Best friends.
Best friends, yeah.
He looks like a guy to me, though, that whenever they need a transitional contender for anyone with the title, like in between big stories, you could put Cassidy in there and the crowd will pop.
Yeah.
And he'll put on because he's capable of making a great match with anyone.
You know who he is? He's Kofi.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah. He's got a limited ceiling, but the crowd's always going to let you can never turn him heel.
He's also responsible for my favorite Conor McGregor meme of all time.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
No.
His little kicks to the leg?
Yeah.
They put one with him kicking Connor in the leg,
And
how
the
it
ankle
really
breaking.
went down.
Oh, my God. That's
I've got it here on my phone.
Oh, he's already got it ready queued up.
It's the best. It's the...
That's perfect.
That is...
Now, Jay, are you going to all or not all Full Gear?
Possibly. Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it, in conjunction with you. I haven't talked to you about it, and he doesn't know that my fucking AEW plans have now been blown apart by soccer. An out-of-town tournament. We'll see what happens, though. Hey, who knows what's going to happen between now
Well,
and then.
if you want to go with me, sir, we can try to get tickets together.
Here is my last thoughts on AEW, and then you can have whatever last thoughts you guys want.
Sure.
I don't want it to sound too bad because I'll tell you this. 2 years ago, I was one of the biggest critics of the Young Bucks' work.
Okay.
I thought I'm not Jim Cornette, but I thought they were a spot fest and they didn't tell a good story. I think they are good storytellers now. They still have a spot fest, but they can work a match pretty good, and they're doing better with all the and one thing that might have been is Japanese audiences don't really go by stories; they just go by spots.
Their hands are on this Hangman storyline.
Yeah. Well, that said, between them and not Omega so much, because Omega's a champ and his story should rightfully go the way they're going. But between them and the
Good Brothers,
Yeah.
it's too much of the same thing every week with them, I think, and it's with maybe they're just waiting for a tag team to assert itself to be able to dethrone them. They don't see it yet, maybe, but. I mean, you've had some good opportunities with like the Death Triangle and.
Well, I think they're setting it up for the stipulations they have coming up here in a couple of weeks on Dynamite, where you're going to have the Elite 5-on-5 against the Dark Order, and then if Dark Order wins, Hangman gets a title shot against Kenny, and Dark Order gets a title shot against the Bucks. I think you could put Uno and Grayson, the titles on them for a month or two, and then have FTR take it back from them and do something like that.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of FTR work. Since.
Uno and Grayson have wrestled the Young Bucks for almost 15 years.
Yeah, almost all of these teams have.
Yeah.
So you want to know, I kind of just mentioned them, but my favorite faction and my favorite wrestlers in AEW right now is the Death Triangle. I can't wait for Rey Fenix to come back. I love them. I love Penta.
Penta's great.
I love the bastard Pac or whatever they're calling him now.
Yeah.
I just love, and mainly Penta and Phoenix are my favorite. And I love when they wrestled each other.
Yeah, that was good.
And I just think Rey Fenix is a guy that is like not just Rey Mysterio 2.0, but he's a guy that learned by watching guys like Rey Mysterio, and he's made it just a little bit, tweaked it just a little bit.
He's gonna have a hard time shaking off that Rey.
Oh, absolutely. Well, but that's all luchadors. Yeah. I mean, and all those guys. But so I love them, but it's just, I don't know. There was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, you know who's critical? Why am I blanking on their names now that they're in AEW? But the Inner Circles, Proud
and Powerful, Ortiz and Santana.
Yes, they have been criminally underused. They're an incredibly good tag team.
They are.
So one of my things, I go back and forth on this, is should they have that many factions?
No.
It's a little too Attitude Era, yes.
A little too factiony.
Yeah.
So part of me says no, it's too much. Then part of me says this is what helps the mid-card stay relevant and get over, which is something WWE's really bad at mid-card.
Oh, I mean, the Wingmen are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, the problem is, though, you see these guys like the Good Brothers. We saw one of them wrestle this past week. They haven't been on a main show wrestling.
Well, they have.
I don't know.
How dare you speak of Impact that way?
Yeah, I think if you brought up, shown a light on a good point there, is the Forbidden Door needs to be shut until it's special again.
Yeah.
And Omega doesn't need them. He's got the Bucks now.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that show on Saturday at Slammiversary?
No.
He wrestled, defended the Impact title against a guy named Sami Callihan.
Yeah.
I'll pretend I've never heard of this guy. A glorified deathmatch guy. Took a pizza cutter to Kenny's face early in the match.
Was he the guy that was
all over? Kenny was bleeding all over the place.
Was he the guy that was just featured on Dark Side of the Ring?
No, that's Luke Cage. That doesn't sound right.
No,
Luke Gage. It's Luke Gage.
Oh,
not Cage.
I see. Sami Callihan. He kind of looks like a toolbox.
So Kenny was basically bleeding the entire match. Thumbtack spots. Kenny took a very dangerous low pile driver on a table.
Oh,
I'm surprised his neck didn't get fucked for life. It was brutal. It was like
There was a lot of returns on Slammiversary. Mickey James returned.
Jay White at the end.
Jay White. So I love Switchblade Jay White. I wish he was in AEW. He could be a star.
So, I mean, apparently Bound for Glory, which I think is one of their biggest pay-per-views.
It is.
They are going to have a cross-promotion event with NWA, AEW, New Japan, and Impact. And have like a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
and I think that would be pretty.
Well, what's cool about it is essentially, at least with Impact and AEW, with AEW getting a slight nod, they seem to be okay with trading wins. They seem like my champ doesn't have to win or something. So they're throwing egos out and just putting on good shows.
Yeah.
And if they keep that formula going, it's going to be awesome.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah, because Moxley's defended that other title.
The U.S. title.
On there twice
the IWGP U.S. title.
Yeah.
Also, No Way Jose is he is just No Way now in Impact. So I don't watch Impact. I've tried.
It's not great.
Can't do it.
But the more that these other promotions can, God bless Tony that he's just trying to get these other promotions over. Hey, we got a huge event come up here. Wrestling at the Chase is back.
Yeah. Thank you, Billy Corgan.
If tickets are reasonable, I'll go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He actually was on The Point as a special, like one day when school was still going, I was taking Hayden to school, and it was a surprise guest, and they give him a lot of clues, and then it turned out to be Billy Corgan. And Rizzuto lost his shit because he loves Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
And it was a great interview about Smashing Pump because it was the anniversary of Kish.
Yeah.
And he was like, so we essentially were either in the studio or on tour for 34 months in a row.
Yeah.
He goes, it was a nightmare grind, and it's kind of what broke us up originally. But then he turned and started talking about his love for wrestling, and they said, well, this is your passion project, but how much do you do day to day? He goes, oh, I am the day to day. I punch up the scripts. I do the so-called booking. I pay all the bills. I do it all. He goes, it's not a passion project. This is my job. Music at this point is easy for me. He goes, this is my job. And he's really passionate about it.
He's got one good wrestler.
Yeah, I tell you my Billy Corgan story from my vintage stock days, my V-stock days. So when I was in Kansas City, Billy Corgan was playing, the Smashing Pumpkins were playing in Kansas City, and he came into V-stock in Kansas City, and he bought a bunch of vinyl and a handful of Harlequin romance books. And we were like, can we get a picture with you and all that stuff? And yeah, no problem. And this was long time ago. It's like 14 years ago.
Okay.
And he goes, he's like, sure. Yeah, sure. And we're like, hey, can I ask you what brought you in? Oh, I saw your commercial last night, and it looked like a really cool place. I want to come look at some old vinyl. And we're like, great. And he walked out, and I turned, and the other manager, because that was the other manager's store, I just happened to be there.
Yeah.
He goes, we only ran our commercials during Raw last night. I was like, Billy Corgan's a wrestling fan, and that was before he was out.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That was the coolest thing at the time.
Pretty
we were like,
cool.
Glenn Danzig, by the way, in Springfield came through. This was pre-me, but my boss down there used to tell me about it. Speaking of Harlequin romance,
when he walked in, did you go, mother?
I go, hey, I don't have to I don't have to walk another way. I get to step right over the top of you. Never. But he bought nothing but cheesy romance books for himself. Yeah.
Interesting.
Couldn't play Wolverine while you're reading little fucking Fabio covered books. Remember when he was the Wizard magazine was like, Glenn Danzig should be Wolverine in the movie because he's short and muscular and he liked comics. No charisma.
Yeah.
Like, good singer ish.
Sure, he's got 2 songs.
He got chops.
Yeah.
Well, he was a Misfits.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big deal.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah. What else you got before we throw it to Missy?
I think that's it.
You got anything else? And
So this week we have the return of everybody's favorite soccer coach, Ted Lasso.
oh, is that this week?
That's
believe it
Friday.
is.
Okay. Well, that. So have you been listening to the show? We can't talk about it.
Why can't we talk about Ted Lasso?
Well, because we talked about Ted Lasso for about 16 straight episodes. So we made a rule that until the season drops and we watch it, we have no Ted Lasso talk. Because, and we all agree, it might be the greatest show during COVID.
Oh, I think
Yes.
so. And, I mean, as we are all wrestling fans, Jamie Tartt's making a face turn, right?
Yeah. And also, the real life inspiration for Keeley in the series is a girl named Keeley who Jason Sudeikis is dating now.
Ah.
Yeah.
You know, it's been nice to find in the last week or two, like, how genuinely nice of a guy he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Saturday Night Live trivia for you, by the way. I was going to bring this up earlier
Okay.
when we were talking about Marvel. Saw this on the Twitters, so you may
Okay.
have already seen it, both of you. Can you name the 3 SNL cast members who've appeared in the MCU?
Well, we know right out of the gate that I don't know.
One's easy, one's and one's kind of hard.
All right, the 3 SNL cast members that have appeared in the MCU. All right, let's. Boy, you know what? I'm blanking now. I was about to say Paul Rudd. And I was like, wait a minute, he wasn't in SNL.
No. Oh God.
Come on, boys, you're going to get the easy one.
I don't know if I'm going to get the easy one. I'm blanking. And it's just MCU movies or also the TV show.
Also the TV shows.
Okay. Oh boy, Jay, you got to help me out here. He brought a game.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank now.
Yeah.
You guys want a hint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think Dick Ebersol years,
Dick Ebersol.
not the Lauren years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not.
Okay.
So Dick Ebersol years was
80 to 86,
Yeah.
basically.
That was Robert Downey Jr.
There you
that's
go.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
I forgot him. He was only on there the 1 year with Anthony Michael Hall, the youngest cast members of all time. So yeah,
I
Robert.
got the easy one.
Yeah, Robert
Okay.
Downey Jr. And you said what was the other? You said one's and one's impossible.
One's tougher. I would not have gotten the third one.
All right. Wait a minute. What about Agatha Harkness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not
was she?
Agatha Harth.
Or Agatha the
You're on the right.
Catherine Hahn.
That's not, but the recent shows is where the second one was.
Oh, okay. So someone in there? I don't remember who was
Yeah.
all in the town. Agent? Agent, what's his name?
You're getting warm. You're getting warm.
Oh, he was in Ant-Man too, wasn't he?
No,
No.
Just the Asian.
not Asian.
Oh,
not Asian.
not
I think
an-
said agent.
I did say agent
U.S.
first.
agent. Somebody U.S. agent.
Oh,
Getting
boy.
warm. Getting warm.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's I can't think of the other one.
Apparently, Garrett Morris had a cameo in Ant-Man.
He did. He was a cab driver.
Yep.
Oh,
Because
boy.
he played Ant-Man in the early, when they did a superhero party or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Ant-Man in that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
late
fun.
70s,
Well,
I
that's
think.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, well let's throw it to Missy and let's start with Missy. I asked Missy, "Are you coming down for Tom's triumphant return?" And she said, "No." I go, "Just like that? You're gonna leave that? Just gonna not even drop the mic? Just no and walk away?"
I guess I'm number 4 at least now.
She said, and I quote, "I think my podcasting days are behind me."
Oh no!
And I said, "Does that mean forever, or if I need you at least for an episode of Wedded Bliss?" She goes, "Maybe, but we'll see."
So as I was walking down,
Yeah.
I said, "Are you going to join us?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, your birthday wish is going to be a day late next year, too."
Yeah, man, maybe that. You know what? And she deserves that.
Yeah.
she deserves every bit of that. That's yeah. And there's a part of me that's a little sad. She certainly wasn't factored in as a host, and she just kind of
It blossomed into a natural role.
natural role. We needed a female voice.
Did I push her out?
Basically, not only. He just weaseled his way in here, trying to push you off the list, push Missy out the door.
Replacement Badger. No worries. He's got his own damn nickname. Podcast Jay.
Is Jay God bless the Rebecca?
God bless.
Rebecca Howe of our show. Did she push Shelley Long out the door? Did she push her out the door? Did she come on board and people turned out liked her more?
Well, first off, didn't Shelley leave on her own accord?
She did leave on her own accord. It's kind of like you did.
Yeah,
and Missy.
oh yeah, it was definitely my own
Yeah,
accord.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we were saving grace there,
Yeah.
saving a little bit of face. So it's a little bit bothersome, but I'll see what we can do. I'll work on her. I think maybe Missy's just we got a lot going on in life right now. We did buy a new car. Throw it to Missy Pop there.
Nice.
But it's got nothing to do. I think she's kind of had a rough year with the work thing and stuff, and just so I think she just needs to decompress a little bit. I think we'll get her back. We'll get her back and she also, admittedly, is the one thing the podcast has not done is not won her over on Nerd Talk. It's actually jaded her worse towards Nerd
Sure.
Talk. She watched WandaVision, and then she said, "Okay, I'm done with the MCU." So,
Oh wow.
but she liked it. She liked it, but I couldn't.
It was fine.
She didn't want to do Falcon and Winter Soldier, didn't want to do Loki, but she's like, maybe I'll give it a shot. I said, "Hey, you want me to wait for you for Loki?" Nope. Okay, moving on. But the first thing I did, that was a new one. That one was not planned. I did want to say that I mentioned it before. I went to Traverse City last week
Michigan
for work.
Okay.
Not even really heard of Traverse City before until my boss brought it up as our destination point.
Are you going to segue this back into hockey talk?
No, but Traverse City is a hidden gem. It is awesome.
They have a huge prospect tournament every year.
They also have a couple of PGA courses.
PGA Tourses?
PGA Tour courses.
Okay, Bender.
They had, so we went on a boat ride, a big sailboat. I am a sailor. I hoisted a sail as a team. I know how to go 1-2 heave. Clearly, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What side is your port? What side is your starboard?
I believe port's left, starboard's right.
I have no idea.
It's because port is the side that the boat docks on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because they flip it around, the traditional side.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in.
Okay, Pookie, do the honors. I did a canoe ride, and it ended up making me $50. It's a race. We went.
You
down,
won $50 in a canoe race.
We had 5 canoes for our team. They divided us up.
Who was in the other canoe? Charlie and Snoopy?
We divided it up to where the weights were equal. I thought my big competition, and they finished second, was going to be my boss and another team member who's a former football player, college football player, and 35.
And part of the Lakota tribe?
And I thought they were going to do well, but we divided up to where all the weight was distributed. We went like the jockey system. We were all going to make, somebody's going to have to put on a weighted vest in case they were too light. But you go to the Platte River and you come to this giant lake and you go straight across the lake. They tell you to stay on the side because you don't get out in the currents, but we were racing, and the best race route is a direct route. And you go to the other side where there's another, the mouth of another river. And so once we got out there, we all got in line, and then we took off. And me and my partner, we kicked the field's ass. I had no doubt. Well, actually, I had a little doubt. I was like, my partner, he's a good guy. He's probably one of my closest friends on the team, but I didn't know how his physical prowess was going to be. Turns out, our teamwork was great.
This is from years and years of watching MTV The Challenge.
Yeah.
And the Laugh Olympics.
Yeah. And then, absolutely. And then the other thing that they had was a beach, and they have a good amount of breweries in walking distance. Now, did I have any beers that knocked my socks off? No, but I also was limited to what I could do.
Sure.
I did go to a craft distillery and had a really good old-fashioned, Okay. Some douchebag tried to start shit with our team of 12 guys.
Oh, yeah?
And 3 of them my size. And this guy clearly was stoned because weed is legal up there. And
wait, a stone guy tried to pick fight?
It was a guy with 3. It was 3 guys and 2 girls. And one of the guys tried to make a joke. He was right beside it. He turned and he goes, "Hey, you guys do me a favor. Maybe call a couple of more guys to the party." And my boss said, "Or you could just send your girls over and we'll send a couple guys your way and you can hang out with them." And it went right over his head. He was way too stoned to get it. And then then it got awkward from there.
You guys.
He called, hand me that one. I want to do that one. I've had Yin Ling.
I'll do the Killer Blonde.
Yeah. And give me that tall one that you first handed him. Yeah. And I'll get that later.
You guys can split that if you want.
Yeah, you want to?
Sure.
All right. Anyway, so sorry about that. But anyway, long story short, he called we just got off the boat ride, so one of our guys, we knew a storm was coming, so it might have been cool. So he was wearing a puffer jacket like Marty McFly. And he called He called his jacket.
Worst fucking Michael J. Fox impression of all time.
He goes, "Oh, that's cool, even with the guy with the douchey jacket." And he said it 2 or 3 times, to which I stood up. I was like, I'm tired of talking to this guy. And then I think the guy just kind of started getting the hint that his boss came over. Turns out they ran a bike tour of Traverse City to where you stopped at breweries and stuff.
Okay.
And smoked weed, which was clear.
Sure.
But that was the only bummer on the weekend. But I liked it so much that I may take the girls there for a short 4-day weekend one time.
Nice.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
I also sent this out. It's the first time in my life I've ever seen TSA take a 30-minute break.
I saw the picture of that.
As I was walking up, they shut the gate.
That's awesome.
And I go, "Hey, what's going on?" "It's break time." And I go, "What is anybody?" And he goes, "There's no flights for 2 hours." So I'm like, noted. What are you going to do?
Oh, man.
But anyway, that's my first. What do you got?
Hey, I don't know because I don't listen to the show anymore. Have we been watching I Think You Should Leave? Because it is the funniest show going right now.
So Bender talked about it because you talked about it, and I watched season 1. It certainly got better as it went on, and I like some parts of it, and some parts of it I don't.
It's very hit or miss, but season 2 is better than season 1.
I'll have to watch season 2.
Have you watched it, Jay?
No, I haven't.
Are you familiar with it at all?
No.
So Tim Robinson it's a skit show. It's 6 episodes. Each episode 20 minutes tops.
Much akin to Mr. Show. Like they're very non-linear, no distinct breaks. They just flow right into each other.
Yeah.
So Tim Robinson is the writer, main actor, and he wrote for Saturday Night Live in the mid to late 2010s. Yeah. And so you'll see a lot of SNL people
shit
on
ton of stars.
Yeah,
shit ton of stars.
Yeah, and the second season not as much, but it's just this goofy humor. And apparently, he was telling Seth Meyers before season 2, like Yeah, most of these skits, like Lauren's just like, nope. And half of them are not great, but half are. I mean, the one. Did you see Chunky with Andy Samberg?
It is exactly like SNL actually is, because everybody remembers SNL 90s being amazing and the grid. But in actuality, there's a lot of turds that are in there. And I will say this. There's things at this show that I found myself giggling about 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
But there were some things in the moment I was like, well, that's a bomb. Like, that is as bad as a skit as I've ever seen. And then it'll immediately be followed by one that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
You probably seen the memes of the guy in the hot dog suit was like, we got to find out who did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from that show.
Okay.
And it's...
What's it on?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And season 2's not even 2 months old, 3 months old.
Yeah,
maybe.
and there's 4 or 5 skits where I was crying laughing.
Well, speaking of crying laughing, this is an amendment that I had right before we came on the air. I can tell you that the 3 times in a theater I laughed harder than I've ever laughed before.
Oh, okay, this is a good one.
And you're gonna, and I don't mind that I say this because it's very much my age.
Okay.
As when I was in college, that was Jackass 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Interesting.
Jackass-
Same for you?
Yeah, I was crying during those.
Jackass 4 trailer dropped today, and like Chris Pointa says,
Isn't Darby Allin in Jackass 4?
if he is, he's not in the trailer, but I
Okay.
imagine he could be. But because Chris Pointa in one part of the trailer's hilarious.
Yeah.
He goes, now that we're older, you're going to see. You think you would see a much more mature Jackass, and you'd be wrong. And then at one point, Steve-O goes, concussions really aren't that bad until you get over the age of 50, and Johnny's 49, so we're okay. And the bull just knocks him for like a double flip.
Yeah.
Johnny didn't take as bad of the bumps as some of the other guys.
No,
did.
Johnny actually got hurt worse than anybody.
Okay.
Johnny had ruptured a testicle and had to have
Jesus
major
Christ.
in a bull stunt, and he does a bull stunt again. No, let me rephrase that. Life hurt Bam Margera more than all of them. He was asked to leave the set, and they cut him out of the show.
And they got a 3-year restraining order.
Yeah, because he went apeshit on there saying how they owe him millions, which none of it's true. He's a whack job because he's so messed up. And they decided, and he's like, I'd kill him if I. So they just like, we'll just take a restraining order and shut him
Steve-O's
up.
been sober for what, 5 years?
And Steve-O's having a great second act.
Yeah.
Great
to
second.
hear.
But the trailer, and we should watch it because it just makes me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
And this one's got like Eric Andre. They're ramping up the celebrity guests. Machine Gun Kelly, Tyler the Creator. There's a lot of people in this one. So anyway.
My answer is, off the top of my head, the original Ace Ventura,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Billy Madison.
I saw that at a drive-in, so it's not as intimate as a situation.
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers is-
I went in with like.
Super Troopers in the top 5 I've laughed. That's for sure. The top
oh my
5.
god.
Yeah. I sort of laughed more at Super Troopers when I watched it in the comfort of my house, baked.
Did you and me see Super Troopers 2 together?
No, I watched it in here.
Where I saw that with now. It was
What,
all right.
what you got for throwing it to Missy?
So the Emmy Awards, the nominations
It's
came out.
very, very seldom do we go into the Emmys on this show because we're a little higher class.
No, this is funny though.
No, I believe you.
Mando and WandaVision got a ton of them.
Yeah.
Mythic Quest got none.
Oh, it sucks. That's a good show.
Need to check it
And
out.
Don Cheadle got one for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay. And
He was in it for 30 seconds in the first episode.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and
You got an
he's...
Emmy nomination for what?
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
guest
No,
appearance.
but like.
Best
What's
guest appearance or something.
Oh, that's the thing?
Yeah, that's how Kelsey Grammer's won so many.
Well, Niles, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
That was not a very good Kelsey Grammer impression at all.
Or-
I'm just going to do shitty
You're too
impressions
familiar
right
no,
now.
it's not Kelsey Grammer. I thought of him. It's Bob Newhart. He's won like one of the most because he got him for when he was on SNL, when he was on Big Bang Theory, and he always won Best Special Guest or Best Guest or whatever.
Bob Newhart is he the best straight man of all time?
An underrated comic
Yeah.
genius, absolutely,
he is damn
and
good.
wrote all that shit that he was
Yeah.
on. I mean, yeah, and still arguably, I know it's not as popular, but arguably maybe one of the greatest endings to a show ever.
No, it's obviously before.
I was
our
old enough
time,
to remember.
I
I watched
don't.
it.
I remember watching it, but I don't remember the ending.
For those that
I've heard about
Yeah,
it.
and for
It's very legendary.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it's Newhart, which was the second show. he at his first
That was
show.
that was when he worked in the inn that he owned.
Yeah, and he has, this is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. That guy. And the first one was the first show before that. What was it called? It was it the Bob Newhart show or was
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
So in the second show, the very last episode, he woke up in his bed next to his wife from the original, and the entire thing was a dream from the original show.
Yeah.
Very meta.
Yes.
Way ahead of its time, and not really. I mean, it was literally the whole episode was fun, but the last 5 minutes that made everybody go, "Well, he's a genius."
Yeah.
Well, I believe it was one of the first shows to have like an ending that wasn't ending. I mean, most sitcoms back in the day would just happen to be either, well, this is the last episode, or
Yeah.
everybody hugging and crying. It's stupid, you know. I mean,
Turn the lights off at the bar.
yeah, or Michelle Tanner gets amnesia. You know, very, very dumb.
Did that really happen?
Yeah, that's how the last episode of Full House happened.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
didn't.
she fell off a horse, and
I
they
didn't-
did like remember Michelle? Remember that time, like in episode 20, where this happened?
I've had this beer down here in Studio Bohagen in January 24th of 2016.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Had to be from a Bender from one of his trips down there or something.
Sure.
Oh well, I'll drink it again. Let's see if I improved on the flavor. What ranking did you get this?
I think 3.5.
At the time, I gave it a
was
2.5.
Good as Black Widow, huh?
This is
Yeah.
3 for me. I gave it a 2.5 first time.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Bob Newhart, but
Yeah.
what started? Oh yeah, the
The
Emmys.
Emmys.
Yeah, that's weird because Don Cheadle is in that Black Monday, and it's got good reviews.
Yeah.
It's just weird how Don Cheadle's career is. I mean,
Apparently, like he's the best part of Space Jam 2.
I actually heard a few people say they liked that recently. I'm not. If I watch it, it's going to be this weekend when Missy's out of town on a girls' trip to Nashville.
You just got going with low X. I mean, it's fucking Space Jam. Like, what are you expecting?
That's another one of my favorite memes where Michael Jordan in a Space Jam, like from a scene from the movie, his hands out and said, "Hey kid, give me back my movie." I also love the guy that said, "If we need to have a deciding factor on who's the greatest basketball player of all time, and we're having this much trouble deciding, just watch both Space Jams and then decide." It's clearly Michael Jordan, but he had Bill Murray.
He did. He was good. I started watching the first one today, and then I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I think that what it comes down to is I think Michael Jordan's just a charismatic, smart guy. Where LeBron wants to be liked, Michael Jordan
Ends
doesn't
up
give a
saying-
shit if you like him.
ends up saying
which makes him cool.
Ends up saying weird things and contradicting himself by his actions. See the China thing and all that stuff. I mean, I think
Writing
LeBron.
racist stuff on his garage will probably never happen.
I think that LeBron's heart is in the right spot, but he's got. And I'm not trying to insult him because I do love LeBron. I think LeBron's an amazing at talent, but he's got the intelligence of a kid that went straight from the NBA from high school, didn't go into college, and probably didn't really have to learn a lot in the NBA or in high school.
Well, I think too that LeBron. I give LeBron a lot of credit because I mean LeBron's probably. I mean he's curious, you know, not to get back into the whole Ted Lasso thing, but you know, just being curious. And obviously,
Be curious.
He's smart enough to have an ownership in Liverpool. He's donating a lot of money to Akron high school students. I mean, he's trying to be socially conscious, which is a good thing. But Michael Jordan said it best. You know, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yeah, he didn't even sugarcoat it. Like, and maybe that's it. Maybe I'm shitting on LeBron more than I want to be because I think
LeBron sets himself up for failure because he doesn't unfortunately have the not that I do either. I mean, I don't have the intellectual capacity to talk about a breadth of things, and LeBron, to his credit, has the courage to stand up and talk about these things. Then puts himself in a position.
It's also
for
in
people
an
to
era.
shit on him.
It's also in an era more so than Michael, to where someone's always going to ask him. There's always an outlet. There's always a camera.
Sure.
No matter what he does.
That's a great point.
Do you think Michael Jordan could have been the gambler he is now had it been as in that day? Because everybody would have been filming his games.
So you're saying his
so-
baseball career would have been longer then because of the suspensions?
Just so crazy.
Yeah.
God damn, The Last Dance was so good.
Yeah.
No, it was a good one. I got one more from my trip. This movie was from like 2017, I think. I could be wrong, 2016. I watched the one movie I watched on the plane. Well, actually, I watched a couple, but the one that really stuck out to me, Sword of Trust. It's on Netflix. I think Netflix. It's Mark Maron. It's John Bass. He was in Baywatch and Molly's Game. It's Michaela Watkins, who was in Wanderlust, and she's in The Unicorn on ABC. Jillian Bell, she's the blonde wife in Office Christmas Party. She was in First Night, Workaholics, Night Before, Bill and Ted.
Wow, you really went through her IMDb page.
Well, she's a little bit of a heavier set blonde, and she plays a very straight role, but very comedic.
Okay.
So you'd know her when you see her, but she doesn't have a lot of leading roles.
Okay.
And then Dan Bacadal, and he was in Veep, Life in Pieces, and The Heat.
I'd be more impressed with Scott Bakula, but
Yeah. So anyway, this whole movie is about Mark Maron owns a pawn shop in Alabama, and Michaela and Jillian's characters are lovers, and they're lesbians in the Deep South, and they think one of the grandpas dies, and they think they're getting the house. It turns out all they give him was a sword, and apparently this sword, if you believe the story and the history behind it and the documentation that comes with it, proves that the South won the war. And they take it to Mark Maron, who thinks it's bullshit, but then he finds out that there's a substantial market for selling that, so he has to partner up with them, and they go on this kind of crazy miniature journey to sell it to this Aryan, not neo-Nazi Deep South kind of guy who's buying it all up. And there's a plot twist that's worth watching. It's not slapstick. It's very much Mark Maron comedy. It's very what we like about him in Glow.
Yes,
is what is it? And for me, it was a 4 out of 5 because that kind of understated humor really hits me in the right spot. And
gotcha.
And it's I think it's an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 30 minutes worth the watch.
Okay.
And I don't want to ruin it because the end is. It's like after the movie's over, what did we learn? Well, not the goddamn thing. But it's worth watching. There's some very heartfelt moments involving Mark Maron. He was on Two Bears, One Cave, which is Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. Bert's been off filming his movie, The Machine.
Yeah.
So Tom's had a revolving door co-host.
He's did a movie on that story.
Yeah, it's
of course,
big budget movie. Mark Hamill's in it.
Thank you for Mark Hamill.
Yeah, well, I mean, his second half of his career, twilight of his career, is going to be he's finally not Luke Skywalker and everything. But anyway,
Yeah, he's probably shed that at this point.
yeah. But so Mark Maron talked about that on there, and Tom brought it up. He goes, "Man, you've been one of the upper echelon of stand-up comics for years." He goes, "But in the last 4 or 5 years, you've been in a lot of movies." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't even know how it happened." He goes, "It kind of started with Glow, and people just, I guess." He goes, "I'm not changed. I'm still the piece of shit asshole I've always been, but apparently now people know how to write around it." So,
well, I mean, he's had maybe next to Joe Rogan the second most popular podcast celebrity.
Yeah. Well, and arguably was bigger earlier. Him and Adam Carolla.
Did he ever do one with Lauren?
I don't know.
Yes, he did. He went up there for it. Yeah.
And he did one with Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big one. That was a good one.
But I mean, and he even brought up Rogan because
is Obama boring?
I think Obama's super charismatic, and given the right materials that someone wrote for him, he's probably as exciting as it gets.
Because you know me, I love Bruce Springsteen.
I
love Barack Obama. I couldn't get through 2 episodes of that podcast.
I haven't even tried it. But he was on Bill Simmons, and he was pretty good there.
Yeah.
So Mark Maron likes Joe Rogan, but Tom Segura was talking about moving to Austin. And,
do we not like Joe Rogan now?
No, I love Joe Rogan still, but I love his show. But Mark Maron had a great take. He goes, though, Tom, you're a different guy. You're moving here to Austin, and I think you're your own man. You're not like all those guys that are sniffing the farts of Joe Rogan to come down here. And, and he goes, and he started laughing. He goes, but I can't blame him either. If someone gave me $100 million to go, I don't know, man, I think I'd take it too. And Tom goes, what, are you hating on Joe? And he goes, why wouldn't I hate on Joe? He's getting paid $100 million to smoke a joint and not agree with people. He goes, I've been doing that for years, minus the joint, in the last so many years. He goes, fuck.
But I'm glad he's getting a third act or fourth act.
Yeah, whatever he is.
Yeah.
He was a doorman at the Comedy Cellar, that's how he got his break in California.
And he pissed a lot of people off at the time.
Did a lot of coke.
I don't think he's made amends with Jon Stewart. I think they still hate each other. Blood feud.
Yeah, he did a lot of coach. Yeah, I remember from especially when Jon Stewart's show was going.
Yeah.
The Daily Show. But he even says, Sam Kinison was my role model when I got out here, and that was a big problem.
Yeah.
He goes, I was in charge of going to get his guitars. Anyway, that's all I had, except for one last thing. But go ahead. What you got next?
Going back to the face of the MLB, I don't know why it's not Joe Kelly. Did you see he
Kelly's my hero.
traded his jersey for a
mariachi jacket?
Yeah, that's great.
And then wore it to the White House.
Yeah, I wore it to the White House. Yeah. Then, like 2 days later, there was a mariachi band that helped open up the game, and they were in the bullpen behind him, and he walked up to him and said, hey, I want your jacket, and they bartered, so he gave him his jersey that he was wearing.
Did we trade him for John Lackey? Does that sound
Yes.
right?
That is
yeah,
right.
him and Alan
then
Craig for John Lackey.
Then he went to win a World
League.
Series there, and then he went to win a World Series in L.A. Joe Kelly's a winner.
He is.
He also, he's also got the greatest, because some pitchers are getting irritated at the checking them when they come off the field. Not Joe Kelly. He handed him his glasses, and the umpire said, what's this? He goes, you need to check those out because they're sick. He's the best.
Yes.
He's maybe my one Cardinal I want back in baseball right now.
I've got a buddy that went down to Houston for a week with his family, and they went to a couple games, and he wore the Joe Kelly pouty face shirt to the games.
Nice.
And people were like, what is that? Like,
How do you not know it?
Did you forget already?
We looked up and weren't close enough when we were in L.A. to the mural. It's still up, and we wanted to go get a picture in front of it. And Kaylin didn't know who Joe Kelly was, so in the hotel I made her watch the highlights of Joe Kelly's career, which none of the highlights involve pitching. Well,
No.
Yeah.
they involve fighting. They involve,
standoff.
I mean, he's a throwback to the 80s era of characters in baseball.
Yes.
Like characters. So that's a good one. I like that. What do you got?
Well, your St. Louis Blues have an expansion draft here in 36 hours.
Okay.
You want to talk about something before that?
No, this is what my question was. And
Okay.
it's actually for both of you.
Yeah.
And what you're going to talk about, for those that don't know, the Blues left Vladimir Tarasenko unprotected.
Yes.
So I saw this on 101 ESPN on Facebook today.
Ruh-roh.
Who has had the more disappointing career in St. Louis? Carlos Martinez or Vladimir Tarasenko?
Carlos Martinez not even close. Come on.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
Not
because,
even close.
I mean, Tarasenko was an elite player for a while. Martinez showed
Was he?
flashes.
That's what I want to know.
Was
'Cause
he elite? No.
More
He was
so
never
than
elite.
Martinez was. Martinez was supposed to be that ace.
Well, and Tarasenko was supposed to be a goal-scoring threat.
Tarasenko has been a B+ to A- player from 2014 to 2019. I mean, Tarasenko up until 2018, 2019, for like a 6-year clip, had the second most goals in the NHL behind Ovechkin.
I didn't even know that.
But it was that Hank Aaron don't notice it 30 30
Oh, yeah,
30
yeah.
for like 6 years.
Oh, all of a sudden, this guy's going to set the new record. Yeah.
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 He never. I don't think he ever got. No, he definitely didn't get 40.
40's a crazy mark now.
Yeah.
It is. And Tarasenko, I mean, they won the cup.
They did.
And yes, I will never forget. It's probably top 5 regular season games I've ever been to for the Blues. I was there at his debut where he scored 2 goals against the Red Wings. And I turned to my wife. I'm like, this is the guy like who's going to be this generation's Brett Hall. Did he get No, he did not get there. I would say at the end of the day, though, Vladimir Tarasenko will be a top 15 Blue of all time.
Okay.
He has he's top 5 in goals. He's, I think, top 10. I mean, not top 10, but top 15 in games played. Top 15 in points. A lot of clutch goals in that 19 season. Always was close to almost not that high, but in this era, 0.75 points per game in the playoffs, which is not easy to do.
No.
It's a shame how it went out. It reminds me he's kind of going to go down in St. Louis history as a poor man's Pujols, where the Hoosiers will remember the ugliness of how it ended, and not the great times that we had.
So that's going to be like when Brett Hall left and people hated him for a while.
For the way he left.
Yeah.
But except he didn't give us a cup, obviously,
No.
but he gave a lot of...
He did.
I want to disagree with you on that, Jay. I don't know for sure because I was 12 when that happened, I guess. But people were pretty pissed at Keenan at the time. I guess it was 14.
Yeah, Keenan was the one that was blamed. I remember.
Yeah.
They were both blamed.
Yeah.
People were thought Hall was being a whiny bitch, but also
Keenan was hated.
Yeah, I mean,
Still is.
Hall is a great. He doesn't do them very often because he knows he'll get in trouble. But I mean, the rumor is he told Gretzky when Gretzky got here, "Dude, I'm stuck here. Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?" I mean,
Yeah.
Keenan was just that toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh god, I could do a 30-minute segment on Keenan stories.
So comparative to that of Carlos Martinez, someone that had the stuff to be a Cy Young winner,
Maybe
a head case. He certainly, that was his hype. He was.
He was.
He had, and still every once in a while, I'll show you flashes of his electric stuff. But he's a head case.
No, well, he'll go down as our generation's version of Joaquin Andujar. I mean,
Yeah.
all the talent in the world.
And he did better in Oakland than he did here. Andahar.
Is that true?
We'll have to look it up. I got you.
But I mean, very similar careers. You hate to make the same connotation due to ethnicity, but very similar personalities. Where strikeout pictures when things are going great, they're going great. When things aren't going great, it unravels very, very quickly. I think Carlos's best memories here will be when he was a reliever.
Yeah,
and they had
the closer.
Yeah.
Nah, Oakland. It wasn't Oakland because that was after St. Louis. Even though he did win 20 games in St. Louis, and really, we're talking about
Different era, though.
2 years. He won. Andahar in 84-85 was an incredible pitcher, and then the sum of his years after that, not so great. He actually had a better ERA. Well, in '86 he had a similar ERA.
He's no longer with us.
He
correct?
died in 2015 at 62.
Andujar, from what I have heard from baseball people that are older than us, looking back, was at the time we grew up where Don Deminger, I can't say the guy's name right now, was blamed for that. But
Don Deckinger.
Deckinger, yeah.
Thank you. At the time, Andujar took a lot of heat for just completely melting down in Game 7.
Yeah.
That has been, since kind of people don't remember that as much. But that kind of, he was a scapegoat. They got rid of him, and he had become a punchline. If that guy's name is Danny Cox, there's probably not the same connotations. We'll just leave it at that. As far as Carlos, I think there's some of that with BFib Nation too. If his name's
Andahar.
Andahar.
Yeah.
Well, I was walking in underwear. Was when I
Andahar. Yeah, because I thought as a kid it was Joaquin Andahar, and you made me question whether I was right or not. I was like, I can hear Joe Buck saying it right now.
Yeah.
I think your comparison to him and Martinez is accurate. Both had great stuff. The only difference is Andahar won 20 games twice.
Yeah.
But Martinez did.
What was the highest Martinez finish in a Cy Young? Top 5?
Oh, God.
I don't think he got it.
I don't know.
Did he have that one year, like 17, where he was maybe a top 5 Cy Young guy?
Has he really ever been?
I don't think he's gotten that high.
He was an All-Star once, right? Maybe even twice?
He won 16 games in 2016 and finished with a 3.04 ERA. That was.
Are you on Baseball Reference?
No, that's his. I just googled him. That was his best year.
If you're on Baseball Reference, if you scroll all the way to the right, it'll tell you how
Oh, that's right.
How he finished in Cy Young. I thought he had a top 5 finish one year.
He was a 2-time All-Star, and they never have him finishing in the. They just have him as a 2-time All-Star. Is all he's got.
Yeah, wow. Baseball Reference will have where he placed in the top 20.
They'll say Cy Young 3 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so you're right. I think both had tremendous upside. I think Tarasenko. Was Martinez ever responsible for our World Series wins?
No.
I don't think so.
No, not even out of the bullpen.
Because I think he came after that.
Yeah,
season or two later.
Yeah, because not even out of the bullpen did he. Yeah, because 2015 and 2016 were his biggest years.
Yeah. And they've been there since 13.
Yeah. All right. Well, that
is crazy. He's only won 28 games in the last 5 years.
Oh well, he had a big stint in the bullpen there and injuries, and
only
he's
62.
He's hurt again. Going to have surgery, right?
And career might be over with the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we kind of fizzled there at the end.
I do have one more Blues question for you.
All right.
Yeah.
Is Tarasenko going to be taken in the expansion draft?
He's gone regardless, though, right?
Yes,
Because he wants out.
Apparently, I heard that Philly really wants him, and they're trying to work on a deal with the Krakens for them to take him and then trade him.
Oh, I forgot about the Krakens.
Yeah.
release the Kraken.
Great name.
The name or their team will be announced around a little after lunch on Thursday. They should take Vince Dunn.
They should.
There could be, I mean, if there's enough assets coming back their way where they have to retain some salary, but they can get some low draft picks from somebody for him. Sure, why not?
So
who knows?
So it's
the
been
more
a-
interesting thing is the Carey Price stuff. That is fascinating.
So it's been a while
Yes.
since we've talked Blues. Are you happy with who they protected versus who they didn't?
Give two shits. I mean, those are the people they needed to protect.
Yeah. I mean, there's no surprise on the list.
Blues. Let's just put it this way. If I had to make a prediction right now in the next championship in St. Louis, it would be St. Louis City.
St. Louis City FC, yeah.
Both the Cardinals and Blues, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, baseball, I think it's probably a little easier to build a champion than NHL. NHL's hard. We've talked about that. NHL's hard. And
That's a great question.
Cardinals
overall, it's easier to win one in the NHL.
You think so?
You've got a cap. So in baseball, I mean, look at there's so many teams that have been shitty for so much longer in baseball than there is in hockey.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't see the team struggling to get under the cap like they do in hockey. Like, I mean, how many years in a row have the Blues kind of struggled to find somebody they could bring in, like Hoffman, for example?
Sure.
They had to work that crazy deal with him to get him in. But baseball doesn't have to worry about that. I mean, for the most part,
But only in hockey, you've only got maybe any given time 8 to 10 teams that are right up against the cap.
yeah.
You've got in hockey, you've usually got about 10 teams that are up against the cap who think their window is now and trying to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
You got 10 that are waiting in the wings, leaving about 10 or 20 million for either their young stars or to get those final two pieces for that run, that
Yeah.
window. And then you got 10 teams actively tanking.
Yeah.
Where in baseball, I mean, going through the league, I could put, the Pirates. How long have they been
Yeah.
shitty? How long have the Orioles
They were
been
in
shitty?
the playoffs 6 years ago.
Yeah. They had a good run with McCutcheon before he was in his prime.
Because there was the year
They
the
were
Cardinals won the
good.
Joe
division.
Kelly ended that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
There's an argument to be made though that when the but let's go back to this. Well, your original thing was it's going to be a while before Cardinals. When the Cardinals last were good, they had a loaded farm system, and if you believe the dirt sheets, they have a very talented farm system right now in terms of hitting. They got to get their pitching solved.
what was the last really good Cardinal developed player that was it Matt Carpenter?
It's hard to say. We got Waino really young after 1 year.
Well, that's
the
a
Braves.
pitcher, though.
Yeah, we got Albert really young. In the farm system.
Albert was drafted.
Yeah, he was
Albert was
drafted.
drafted, yeah.
So Albert is one. And he's
Wainwright was in the minors for 3 seasons before we got
with
him.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they had no intentions of. I mean, he was apparently not going to be ushered in anytime soon. That's why we got him for cheap.
Well,
And
that wasn't cheap.
No.
what did we give up for him?
That was J.D. Drew, Eli Marrero, and
well,
there's somebody else.
It looked.
I know that those are the two that went to the Braves.
Yeah.
You named the
And then we
Cardinal
got
players.
Ray King, Jason Marquis.
There
and
you
Wainwright.
go, swish baby.
Yeah, but I mean, Waino, what we gave up was not a lot.
Drew was
this is JD Drew at the height of his powers.
Well,
this was
I think
Okay,
he-
but if you remember, we gave up. JD Drew wasn't living up to it in St. Louis, and JD
No.
Drew
no, Tony hated him.
But there were some problems with JD Drew, so they weren't high on Drew.
No, but the town is what got us Wainwright back.
Yeah, right, absolutely. But I mean, it's like when we got Lou Brock at the time. Chicago thought they got the steal. They got a guaranteed Hall of Famer one day.
Well, there was more to that than what they initially said. So,
but the Cardinals. I look at the Cardinals last year. They certainly need to learn to hit home runs because that's baseball, and they can't do it in the postseason. And our hitting can get us to the postseason, but never excel in the postseason. And I look at the pitching and say, We don't have an ace. We don't even have anything close to an ace.
I would hope that a healthy Jack Flaherty's that guy.
And he was pitching that way before he got hurt.
Yeah, but he came out, got rocked his thing, and then he started settling in, and I agree with you. The sample size is not big with Jack Flaherty.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, Jack Flaherty could be the next Alan Bennis.
Yeah, we don't know.
Carlos or
and KK certainly looks good.
Yeah.
It was a
But
good,
he's a free agent after the season.
but he says he wants to resign, but that might be on whether they resign Yachty because
Yeah.
he really likes Yachty.
Yeah.
And they're talking about 2 years with Yachty.
I think Yachty and Wainwright have. You want to play here? You just here.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that for him. And I think of the two, though, Waino seems to know his place. In fact, Waino's he's a number 4 starter.
Waino is officially at that 1 year and you come back.
Yeah, and he's
year.
making good money and he seems his agent and him seem well comfortable with incentive-based contracts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a team leader.
Absolutely.
That's a team leader. Yachty wants to play every day, and he.
Well, yeah, because a month and a half ago he said, well, I'm going to let Kinzer play more, and then Kinzer hasn't touched the field.
Yeah. Well, Yachty,
He's still.
he's hitting 250, which is fourth on the tee, third on the tee.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard to take out.
What is the current major league average is like 231, which is the lowest it's been.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's insane. But anyway, we're rambling at this point. We talked about the Blues to end this, is how I want to say it, because it's been a while since we've heard you say.
Let's go, Blue.
I mean, Jay, how can you follow that?
Bye.
All right, and we will play the music on a return of the Badger. The prodigal Badger returns. The prodigal varmint returns.